This is 0 to 100 orange, phase 3, day 2. So this is starting with the Romanian deadlift. Big favourite. I put it on an awful lot of programs and it's my favourite type of deadlift as it's far easier on the lower back than the normal conventional deadlift. Okay, so a lot of the cues are very, very similar to a squat. If you're strong enough to lift your body weight, it's probably time to start using straps, as you don't want the grip to be a limiting factor when you're working your glutes, hamstrings and lower back. So tight grip, point the toes out slightly, so very same stance as a squat. Feet shoulder width apart and just lower than the knee. And squeeze up. Push the hips back and drive the hips forward. Push the hips back and drive the hips forward. So let's go for 6 more reps. And what we're trying to do is get your hips as far back past your heels as possible. So it's not about getting as low to the ground as possible, it's about pushing your hips and hinging as much as you can. So you don't want to get really, really low and have the lower back start bending. You just want to focus on pinning your shoulder blades back and pushing the hips back as far as possible so you're getting a big stretch on your glutes and hamstrings. And that will always lead to the best results when you're trying to train for strength. This is the Bulgarian split squat. So your feet, usually it varies from person to person. I like a slightly closer stance, but she's comfortable there and it suits her flexibility and her mobility. So you drop down to the ground and drive to the heel. I prefer the chin tucked slightly, just like Amy's is there. So chin tucked slightly down and not looking too far up. And once you get to the ground, drive to the heel and up. Really get used to driving as hard as you can through the heel and lifting to the top. Back leg elevated on a back leg elevated on maybe a leg extension or a leg curl if you haven't got this. Tap the ground and drive up. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze and really fight for those reps. Bulgarian split squat is an excellent exercise and again it's very, very underused. So make sure you're adding it to your programs, whether it's your main lift or you're doing it later in the session. Romanian deadlift, so strap up, really tight, squeeze the bar. Even if you're using straps, you're still going to need to clench as tight as you can with your fists. So white knuckle grip, which is, you'll hear me say on nearly every single exercise, so that every muscle and as much motor units, many muscle fibers firing as possible. Push the hips back so that the glutes are going as far past the heels as possible. Keep the upper back tight, your scapula is protracted, shoulder blades down towards your back pockets, chin tucked, and your spine neutral. Just below the knees is fine for most people. And push the hips back, drive to the heels and thrust forward. Let's go one more. Push the hips back, drive to the heels, thrust forward. Excellent. Well done. This is the neutral grip pull down. So I like using these orange handles. I think they're absolutely excellent. As similar to a dumbbell, they'll rotate around your anatomy. So if you have very narrow shoulders and you're of a smaller frame, or whether you're 6'5" and you have a bigger frame, the dumbbells and like these orange handles, they'll move around your anatomy. So they're a lot more comfortable on the shoulders than barbells or straight bars. So squeeze down, chest up, and you want to really focus on keeping the chest up high while the elbows drive down. Chest up high, elbows drive down, and that way you'll get the most back activation rather than leaning forward a little bit at the top and your head going forward or ducking forward. So squeeze tight. Let's go 2 more reps. Drive the elbows down. Squeeze all the back muscles together. Really tight grip. Chest up high. Squeeze the back muscles together. Excellent. Well done. Just grab the bar, about shoulder width, like a squat. So if the bar is obviously in front this time, unlike a squat. So punch up, straight, really tight grip of the bar, strong wrists, and you want to press up hard and fast. Slow all the way down, and punch up fast. And this is going to work the shoulders, the traps, the triceps, and the upper chest, really hard, but mainly across the shoulders is where you're going to feel this burn the most, the shoulders and the triceps. Punch, and for 10 reps. A nice fluid movement, so 1, 2 on the way down and punch back up straight. And I usually try and get, with all of my female clients that I try and get, they can do this comfortably for 10 to 12 reps. I might be starting with a seated one with light dumbbells, but you're trying to build up so that you can press the barbell overhead comfortably 10 to 12 times. Okay, that's fine. This is the 1 1/4 hip thrust. So Amy's feet are in a position that when she gets to the top of the movement, her knees are in line with her heels. So the leg is straight like that. And the 1 1/4 is the quarter rep is at the top, so the hardest position where you're fully contracted in the glutes. So it gets the bottom drive up through your heels, squeeze, and a quarter rep and back down. Up 1 and 1/4, squeeze and back down. Go for 10 reps, and you want to grab the bar just wider than the pad, squeeze it very tight, and your chin tucked down, and eyes gazing straight forward so that when you get to the top of the movement, your head doesn't go back like that. So you want to drive up, squeeze the glutes, 1 1/4, and real low, all the way down, and up to the top, squeeze 1 and 1/4, chin down, eyes gazing straight forward. And usually with these, you would be higher reps, and you're not going to be able to lift as a heavy weight as a normal rep, obviously, because of that quarter rep in the hardest position. So this will be a tool you'd use to help you feel your glutes more while you're hip thrusting, or to really practice that end range, the hardest part of the hip thrust. Okay. This is the reverse sled drag. So a very simple movement, but extremely tough on the quads and very good for your knees. So if you're trying to get stronger knees, or if you're trying to learn your split squats, your Bulgarian split squats, your barbell squats, this is a brilliant movement to add in. It's also brilliant for sports because knee injuries are so common, and this is a great exercise to protect your knees and all the ligaments and tendons inside them, and to strengthen just your lower body in general. So you couldn't be any simpler in terms of technique. You simply walk backwards. So short, quick steps, and you should be able to build up to your body weight on this exercise, but it would depend a lot on the friction of the sled. So there's quite a bit of friction here on this carpet. If you were doing it on tarmac or concrete, you'd move it a little bit easier. So building up the body weight on this particular carpet would be very strong. And we would do 50 meters, so back down again. So we usually do 50 meters, so this carpet is 25 meters. So up and down will be 1 set. Also an excellent choice of exercise to do if you haven't any lower back problems and you can't squat. So along with your hack squats and your leg presses, this would be brilliant to add in because there's no pressure on the lower back. There's tons of pressure on the quads, and I've spent 12 weeks doing these only with no squats, and when I went back squatting, my squat was actually stronger, and I've seen this repeated with loads of clients. So if you can't do normal squats because of your lower back, and you still want to work your quads really hard, this is a great choice. This is the tricep push down with a V-bar, so grab the weight and step in really close to it, Emmy, really close again. Okay, and press straight down. So you want to tuck your elbows into your sides and keep your elbows as fixed as possible. And press as hard as you can. So what you're really doing with this exercise is flexing your tricep with the weight. Okay, so you can think even without weight, you can just flex your tricep by straightening your arm, squeezing your fist as hard as you can. With a good technique on tricep extension, that's all you're doing. You're holding onto the bar, squeezing it as tight as you can, and you're just flexing your tricep for a second, coming back up, keeping your elbows by your side, and then flexing your tricep as hard as you can again. So let's go for 5 more reps, and we're going to do a drop set on this, which I recommend as adding in extra time under tension, extra little bit of volume, very, very safe to go to failure and do drop sets and things like that with a cable exercise like this. Okay? So once you hit technically failure on the first, you just lower the weight by 30 to 50% and push down as hard as you can again. And if you're not used to strength training, if you're not used to weight training, this can be brilliant exercise for helping you learn what your triceps actually is, what it feels like. It's also brilliant for helping you learn how to lock out on your press movements, like your press-ups, your bench pressing, your military press. All those exercises you have to lock out your elbows to do them with full range of motion and correct technique. Tricep extensions can help you learn that. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Let's go 5 fast ones. 5, 4. So don't be afraid to push really hard. Train through failure. Do a few drop sets, and you'll be able to lock out your triceps and all your press movements far more effectively. Curls. So a big mistake a lot of girls make when they start strength training is they don't do isolation work for the upper body. So I'm a big fan of doing lat raises, bicep curls and tricep extensions, because they transfer into strength in your chin-ups, press-ups, rows, and all the good compound movements. So when you get quite advanced, you actually don't need to do much isolation work, because doing the chin-ups, press-ups is more than enough work for the upper body. But the problem is most people are a long way off chin-ups, press-ups when they start strength training. So if you can start by doing plenty of different types of bicep curls, tricep extensions, lat raises, then you're going to be able to transfer that strength into the compound movements further down the line. So here's a great variation. It'll help you get stronger in your chin-ups, help you improve your grip, and help you train the elbow flexors very, very hard in an isolated way. So if you're struggling with technique on your rows, chin-ups, lat pull-downs, make sure you add in some bicep curls. Let's go 2 more reps. Squeeze up, all the way down, and squeeze up.